Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Scream Scene. I'm Jody Dean. This is my co-host Krista from Another Mister. Krista, what's going on?
Just hanging out with my sister in Houston, visiting the family for 2 weeks now. I'll be here till the 14th. So,
That's what's up, man. Getting litty like a black kitty. I like it. Uh, Tonight I'm throwing a big curveball at you. Krista has no idea what we're going to talk about, but I did a little bit of research before this podcast, and tonight we are going to be talking about demonic situations. Now, I have four here, and I want us to attack each one, talk about each one, give our thoughts, and well, let's just get into it. So I was on the internet. Now, first off, I want to say this. I don't know that any of these stories are 100% true, but I found them and I seen people blowing them up, and I even seen the people that wrote these stories, and it seems like they're true. It feels like they're true. Whether or not if they are or not, I still think there's some value in our opinion, and I think there's some value in the stories because I do believe things like this can happen. However, the first curveball is about to smack you right dab in your face. Are you ready?
oh boy, yes, bring it.
A woman in Iowa says, a demon tried to fuck me last week. She was in her hotel room, a place that she was renting, one of those weekly rental hotels. Have you ever heard of those before?
Yep, I stayed in one for actually 3 months. Couple, I don't know, last summer in Texas.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. And see, I did not know that you could rent hotels for weeks at a time until more recently. I met somebody that was like, "Oh, I'm living in a hotel." I'm like, "How can you do that? Hotels are expensive." And they're like, "Oh, they got a weekly rate." Anyway, this woman was staying at this hotel. Something appeared and it looked like a real man. She was even, she kind of felt to herself like, did this guy just like come into my room? She felt she was very attractive, she said. And at first she was like, am I dreaming in real time? Uh, One thing led to another, and she started having sex with this stranger. But while having sex, she looked up, locked eyes with him, and it was not a man. She says it was a demon. She says it was something evil. It looked evil. It felt evil. And as soon as she tried to forcefully get this thing off of her and tell it no, it was gone. But at this point, he had already, her words, been inside of her. What do you think about this?
First of all, I would like to know if she was on drugs or drinking. Somebody being a hotel room, anybody can just walk in with the front desk key. That could have been a situation. I don't believe every situation is demonic. I think some people just pretend like it's bullshit. Like not everything is demonic. If it was demonic, it's not going to try to fuck you like a succubus would, right? We talked about those a couple videos back.
Right.
I think I call bullshit.
And again, it could be. I seen the woman in the comment sections defending herself and really wanting people to know that this was real. If she was on drugs, I would like to think that she wasn't on drugs at the moment she wrote this and she was going to war in the comment section. Master debate. No pun intended there. Jesus Christ. Um, this was a situation when I read this, I was like, okay, whether I believe this or not, what if this actually happened? Um, this is I mean, it's I have dealt with, like we talked about on that stream, I have dealt with a succubus before. I know a lot of guys, even Alicia's dad claims that he had dealt with the succubus. Um, and he'll go into straight detail and tell you like it went on for a while. Like it was almost like he was having a damn relationship. I told you there was one guy that believed the succubus to be like a girlfriend. That's the way that he talked to it, and he acted like it was there. But I was thinking about this. Like if I knew something was a demon, even with urges, being a single man, being alone for a while, I just no freaking way. Like, get the hell out of here. Um, if this was a real situation, say this is real, Krista, and this happened to you. Uh,
Mm.
what regardless if this thing was attractive or not, you were single or not, if you believed it to be a demon, what would happen?
Well, I am single and I've been single for a minute, so I'd probably take any action I could get.
Wow. Not the answer I thought we were going to hear, folks, but we got Dr. Krista on the line.
I'm just teasing. I feel like demons have a way of controlling your mind, so they're going to manipulate you regardless of how you feel about the situation. I feel like you're going to see them in a way you're going to find them attractive. You might think it's somebody from the front desk and you're like, "Hey, baby," I don't feel
Mm.
like you would initially assume it was a negative entity. Um, I don't know.
Like the Dracula effect, almost, I guess you could say. Like, that we see in the movies, like, he's going to rip a hole into your neck and drag the blood out of every vein, but you still find him irresistible. You would, if what you're saying is true, and I do believe, I have talked about this before. I believe that demons, evil entities, bad spirits do have. I mean, if their energy is how they communicate, why couldn't they affect your mind? And if they have some kind of mind control, it might be that she did have a situation, but it wasn't everything she thought it was. It's what it wanted her to think it was.
Mhm. I mean, that's kind of what it seems like to me, especially if it entered her, like if it really they hooked up, essentially.
Yeah.
I wonder what the aftermath of that was, and can you get pregnant if that was the case?
Good Lord. Imagine you go 9 months later to have your baby and a demon comes crawling out of your crotch. That's a horror film right there that might never need to get made. Um, wow. Imagine picking out demon names with your significant other. uh
Succubus Junior.
Succubus Jr. Yeah, yeah. Oh, little Lucifer, isn't he so beautiful? Ooh, God.
Come here, Michael, the archangel.
Wow. Wow. Shit just hit the fan here on the Scream Scene podcast. Um, yeah, when I seen that, I was like, okay, I'm waiting for that line where they were like, just kidding. A demon tried to fuck a woman last week. She was in her hotel. Um,
I think
so
a lot of women would get off. I'm not speaking for all women, but like the movie industry romanticizes those situations, like you were talking about Dracula.
mhm.
Women romanticize that, so do men. It's like sexy, somebody sucking your blood and turning you into like an immortal being. It's like the 50 Shades of Grey movies. It
Mhm.
romanticizes dominant men for women, like the fact that he's like a cutie pie, he has a helicopter, those little elements right there kind of draw in female audiences, and it's like a different kind of Cinderella story. So I feel like some women could find that situation as a turn on.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. And instead of being a Stephanie Meyer and writing a book called Twilight, this girl didn't write no book. She decided to come to the internet and tell her imagination of what happened, and this fictitious thing that I think it's a fictitious thing. I do. First off, if you were in your hotel, even if you've seen an attractive man suddenly, you would think the first thing you would think to yourself is like, this guy just broke in here. Like, I probably need to be in fear for my life. Like, I'm not gonna just hook up with a random stranger inside this hotel. I wouldn't think. Like, I mean, if it was me, even back in my single days and some shit like that would happen, I'd be like, whoa, I don't know who the fuck you are. Like, you know, um, I don't know. I can't imagine handling a situation like that unless you were faced with it. I just know that uh thinking that something on you could turn into a demon That's horror. That's scary right there.
That feeling is terrifying. If it's anything like the sleep paralysis feeling, you can definitely feel negative energy versus the dreams that we were talking about before that I've experienced, where it was more of like an energy,
Mhm.
not like a demonic type energy. It was different, but I don't know.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Has she like has anything like that happened to her since then? Or was it just the one time?
Somebody in the comment section had said, "Did it happen again?" And she said, "No, it never happened again. It happened this one time." But she says that she did have experiences throughout her life, never nothing like that, something trying to nothing ever doing what it did to her. But she had had experiences where she felt like she had seen evil and dark things. And it makes you wonder, like, what if she does have something evil and dark sludging along just like by her side and like kind of preying on her emotions and her energies, and maybe it did have this one time to manifest? What if she was telling the truth?
That's scary. I mean, that's freaky that a demon would have that ability to come at you like that. Legit. You see it in the movies. I mean, I told you the other day I just actually binge watched every single Freddy Krueger movie, and
Mhm.
he is weird to people while they're sleeping. He'll like lick their face and like creepy little things like some old man will do, and it's to have a demon do that, like Freddy isn't necessarily a demon, so
Right.
that would be terrifying.
It definitely would. Uh, Something else terrifying, which brings me to the next story here, that I looked into a little bit. And I'll be honest, I didn't find a lot on this one, but I'll give it to you for what it is. People inside a church in Pennsylvania witnessed a statue bleeding from its eyes moments after the church suddenly was filled with the infestation of killer bees.
That sounds like clickbait. For real, come on. That's a
It
story?
does sound like clickbait, but what again? What if it's real? What if it actually happened? Now, there wasn't a lot of people blowing this one up. Maybe they said, "Man, that's fucking clickbait." Um, but how freaky.
I went to a Catholic school, and being in church, I would actually stare at our statues in the church because I watched so much horror. I've seen statues crying blood, like the Mary statue will cry blood in movies. So I would always sit there and wait for something like that to happen. But
Mhm.
I've never heard of the killer bee situation. Bees are really kind of good for our environment. So, we need
Mhm.
them to stay alive. So maybe it's a sign that Mother Nature is being destroyed. So Mary's crying. I mean, you can see how the two could possibly relate, but
It's a connection. Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a connection. I do that same thing. I try and make some kind of connection and make it make sense to myself, like whether it's real or not. Like, how could it make sense if it was real? Um, I have, and I'll say this, and I've said this. There's a video. I don't know where it is when I did it. It's been years, where this painting that I acquired, I had put it in this haunted house, this house I was living in that was very haunted in Florida. I put it on the wall, and one night I was doing something. I think I was doing an investigation there. May have even been live. And I walk out of the room. When I come back, there was something coming from the eyes. In a way, it looked like blood. In a way, it looked like tree sap. But I just it mainly looked like blood to me, and that's what I've always said, was like there was blood or some kind of something oozing from the eyes of this thing. And I looked around frantically, panicking, like who just did that? Like, come on, like, guys, I'm filming here, own up to it. Like, I'm thinking maybe somebody did it. I walk in the room, and I mean, not that they would do something like that anyway, but they were all sleeping, and they were sleeping in a room that couldn't be accessed while I was doing this video. They would have had to pass me, and I was filming in all directions. So it was something legit that happened. I did see, um, and there was nothing dripping from the ceiling or anything like that. There was nothing behind the picture. So I have seen phenomenal things happen that I can't make sense of, that are very unexplainable. So when I do see things like this, I mean, there's a percentage of truth I give it, like maybe even if it's 10%, like if there's 10% that this actually happened, that they seen something coming from the eyes of this statue, and then suddenly there was a ton of bees in the church. Maybe they exaggerated. Maybe the church wasn't filled with bees. I've seen my mom before have like two bees in the house, and she'd be like, "There's bees everywhere, Jody. There's bees." I'm like, "Mom, there's two fucking bees." You know?
Right. It sounds like a Candyman like sequel to me. The bees show up but there are plenty of instances where objects can be possessed, like dolls, for instance. Humans. So I could totally picture a statue crying. I'm for it.
Yeah. I guess it's a possibility. We'll never know, but I will say that if I was in a church and I seen bleeding start happening from spiritual figure's eyes, and then it was filled with bees, I would never go to that church again. That would freak me out. I would think that the power of Satan was there.
That makes sense. Obviously, the Lord isn't there if you're going to be getting the bloody eyes and the bees. I can't imagine. There's
Yeah.
nothing like spiritually holy about that, as from what the bees like. No.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that's something that God would do. Like, hey, just want to make sure you guys are no, like it doesn't seem very Jesus-y. Um
Well, the Bible's pretty dark, though. I mean, if you've read, I know you read the Bible. It's
I've
dark.
read some of it. There is some darkness there. Yeah, you're right.
I don't remember anything with bees. I'm gonna have to look that up. Did anybody give
Yeah.
you video of this incident? Like,
No, these are just, random stories I found it. And I thought it would be something cool for us to talk about once in a while. Like how like
mhm,
I'll make those Reddit videos or whatever. I
mhm.
was like, well, let me grab like 3 or 4 of these and let's have a conversation about it because the power of what if is very, very powerful. We can talk about what if all day, but the truth is that some of these things probably actually have happened. Maybe
Mhm.
it's not the people reporting them, but maybe they have. Can we honestly sit here and say that a demon has never tried to fuck a woman before? Can we honestly say that a statue hasn't cried blood or bees have filled a church? Or this next one right here. This man claims voices were telling him to hurt himself, and eventually he did. Um, I've investigated tons of cases, especially early on. They were dark cases where somebody had taken their life at a place. And all these cases had a connection. And their connection was everybody that knew these people claimed that the people that hurt themselves heard voices.
That is interesting. I have not heard that specific instance of someone being told to hurt themselves. That sounds demonic to me. Like, mostly out of everything that we've talked about so far, that sounds the most demonic.
I agree. And I do believe that to be demonic. I actually can relate to this one, not to the hurting myself part, but I did this one investigation as a ghost hunter many years ago. Actually, it's been about 10 years ago. So like a few years after I had started doing this. And friends of ours knew I did what I did, and they asked us if we would come and investigate their place. They believed they have something evil there, and if we could find something, it'd prove they weren't crazy, and maybe we can offer some kind of advice. And I was like, well, look, I've only been doing this a few years. I don't know what I can do, but I'll come. I'll check it out. Went, investigated. One of the worst energies I ever felt in my life. These people did not look like the people we knew before they moved in there. Their kids, their family, everything was falling apart. This home was falling apart. Um, the stuff I captured on a spirit box and direct communication responses through EVP recording were just freaking horrible. To this day, I've never witnessed anything like it. And when I left for 6 months, go figure, 6 months, I heard voices in my ear no matter what I did. And this is legit 110%. Um, I remember trying my hardest to figure out, like, how can I beat this? Ain't it something these people asked me for help, and then whatever was there ended up following me, and now I need help. That was the irony of the situation. But I remember thinking to myself, what can I do? What can I do? Well, it freaks me out. It scares me. Stop being scared. And it sounded so simple. It's like, there's no way that's gonna work. Like, how can I stop being scared? But I did. I just tried it. And even if something would happen, I would relax, try and go back to sleep, just keep going on about my day. And eventually I noticed it felt weaker. Like, because I could always feel its dark energy. And the longer I ignored it and just kept on going about my day and enjoying making the best of everything, it got weaker and weaker and weaker. I remember Alicia and I were sitting on the couch one day and we had the front door open. It was like beautiful breeze outside and the birds were chirping and stuff. And we were like, man, this is so nice. Like, this is actually a really nice place. And we felt something just like zoom by us, like this gust of air come from inside out the door. And her and I both looked at each other and we both felt that energy we had been feeling, like it just went right past us out the door, and I've never felt it again since.
That's crazy. That is so crazy.
Yeah.
I definitely am a believer that energy, like spirits, can talk to you through your head 110%, whether it's demonic, a family member, God. I mean, even the Bible says that too, that God has directly spoken to people. That's insane.
Right.
Ooh, I've never had that experience, like that kind of negative energy like that.
Well, that was the only time that I had it at that level. Um, but I did investigate more cases after that, which I was really happy to investigate the darker cases after that because I had gotten to witness it and I felt like there was something I could offer people then, like advice of what worked for me. And I would go to these places and all the people, they were all suicide cases. And all the people that lived with these people or friends to these people said that the people that hurt themselves told them that they all heard something speaking to them, every single one of them. And I'm like, I heard that too, but was I just too strong to let it consume me?
Hmm.
I'll tell you the truth. I remember being at this job this one day that I had. I was trying something different in life. For once in my life, I was like, I want to see what it's like to work for somebody else, do a 9 to 5. And I'm standing there and I'm working this one day, and I just heard over and over something saying, repeating my name constantly. I thought I was going fucking crazy. And then it just kept going and going, and it happened for weeks on end until finally I figured out the formula, and I've never heard it again since.
That's interesting. Did
Yeah.
you I was gonna ask you what your formula was, just meaning if you confronted what was speaking to you? Is that what you did?
Well, they prey on fear, and I
Yeah.
always heard people say that, but I never knew until I actually didn't show it. It stopped messing with me. I stopped being attractive. If you show fear, if you're scared to live, if you're scared to, that's it. If you're scared to live, it seems like you're their kind of target. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for people that are already in a bad state, alcoholic, drugs, emotionally broken, going through a breakup. And it makes sense too if you think about it, because all the people in those kind of situations that are going through those things, doing those kind of things, seem like a majority of the people that end up do harm themselves.
Mhm. I've seen quite a few investigations I think Ghost Adventures have done where there's multiple suicides in one house or multiple deaths, unexplained deaths. It's like that energy, like a poltergeist. You put that energy out and it's going to be a place that's going to draw all of that negative energy. It's interesting for real. I actually know a similar story. It's not like demonic though. It's kind of the opposite where my old boss, I don't know if have you heard of Eli Regalado and the situation that's going on with him? So I think about 6 months ago now, he started an online church and he was telling his followers that the Lord told him to create a cryptocurrency.
Oh
And
wow.
he got $2.4 million in donations that it's just an interesting story. So what he did was scammed all of his people, all of his followers, and he said the Lord told him to remodel his house with that money. The Lord
Oh
told
my
him.
God. Are you freaking kidding me?
Look it up. I used to work for him at Mad Hatter Marketing Agency. And then so Colorado pressed charges against him and his wife for defrauding all of these people with this cryptocurrency. And they were out meanwhile buying boats and luxury handbags and like I just can't believe it, and he has a podcast. His church is like an online podcast church. So what happened with the cryptocurrency was it can only be used, I think, with the foundation or church he created,
Oh
and
my God.
the fact and the state found out that they did it, and they filed charges against him and his wife, and I guess they pulled his dad and anybody associated with selling the cryptocurrency. He jetted out of the country. He hasn't showed up to any of his court dates from what I've read in the paper. It's like, thank God I am not working for him anymore, because I probably would have believed him too, because this guy is so believable. Like
Right.
he's a con artist. Like the Lord didn't
That
tell you to remodel your house. Come on. Like
yeah. No, that's that dude, you know what the scariest thing about that situation is it's real. The real life horror. This isn't, and I don't know that none of these aren't, but that's a real life horror fact. People can check into it. You're saying I hadn't heard about it, but I have met some pretty scammy people in the Jesus business, and that's a really sad thing. I would hate to be them on Judgment Day. Um, I
no,
cannot imagine like being able to sleep at night, buying boats, and
right.
that's I mean, if somebody did something like that and offered free schooling, use the money to build onto their church and offer free schooling for the kids and hire people to get in there, or setting up like, food banks, or to do some like good,
Mhm.
that would be acceptable. Like then that would be understandable, but remodel your house?
He even went in after he got caught and got called out for it. He did another podcast and he said, "Yes, I did do these things." And he said, "I did it because the Lord told me to do it." And people believed him still in the comments. His followers were like, "Yes, I believe in you." But this guy was doing a podcast out of one of the trailers he bought. It's like he didn't have a home base for the church. There was no physical church. And I think maybe some people can talk themselves into a lie so much they believe it themselves.
That is scary.
The Lord did not tell you to do that. Like people lost so much money. Like they put their life savings into this
Yeah.
hat.
Yeah, that's terrible, man. I really hate to hear that. And I mean, yeah, what was his defense going to be in court, stand up there? The Lord told me to do it. Like,
Right.
you know,
I
hmm,
actually had the news media reach out to me. The media, they asked me if I would comment on the case because they found out through LinkedIn that I used to work with him. I just stayed out of it. I don't want to get involved in it. It's anything
wow.
that makes somebody's situation worse or better, I don't really want to be involved with. And plus, there was plenty of other people that came forward. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's best to stay away from that one. Well, I'm sure God will figure out how to. I'm sure God knows how He's going to handle that situation, and that's just terrible. I hope that I hope they some way there's a way to not let him back on the air, because I mean those are the scariest people, dude. That you're gonna get up there and talk about God, and then you're gonna do something like that, man. That's
Then to get your family involved, I know they froze all of him and his wife's assets. So hopefully these people are getting their money back. But what he did, he created this crypto legally. I don't know if there's any jail time he's facing. I think it's just fines from what I'm reading.
wow. Yeah, that's horrible. Well, I mean, his reputation, I would think it would be shattered. Sounds like you said some people still have faith in this guy, and that's crazy. Because I mean, come on, the guy's it's a common sense case. This guy is a scam artist. He figured out a way to make something work, and
And I know it's the truth because I worked with him and I saw how he treated his clients behind the scenes. He wanted the money. That's what he wanted.
yeah.
And he didn't deliver on promises. But it could maybe he's possessed. Maybe there's a devil behind him, telling him.
I was gonna say maybe he hears the voices, because I mean that does that like I don't even know how a person gets to that point to where they could allow themselves to do something so corrupt like that. I have said this before, that I feel like a lot of the evil, from everything from terrorists to uh, attacks, serial killers, and things. I believe that there is a big evil spiritual part that plays a part in this. I really do. I know it's only 50% of probably the situation, but I do believe that, again, I feel like they prey on people that are in those emotional states. And it would make a lot of sense. You know how I used to say it? Okay. I used to say it like this. Imagine a broken person emotionally, their relationship of the last 15 years, and a guy just cheated on her. She's behind on her mortgage, just lost her job. Seems like the world's crumbling. She's broken. She's crying every day. She's sad. She don't want to go out. She's becoming very unhealthy. She's at the edge. Something evil comes along, perfect person to prey on in the eyes of evil. You're on the edge. They're the thing that comes up, puts their foot on your back, and kicks you off. That's truly, I believe that 110%. And
Yeah.
the proof of that, I mean, that would be a hard thing to prove, but I do believe that with all my heart. Um, and I've used that expression many a times. They were on the edge, and it kicked them off. It sounds terrible. It is terrible, but I do believe it to be true.
I think I agree with you there. I'm sure I'm not the only one that wonders this, but the people that do horrendous things like baby killers, and some of them have gone as far as to say they were possessed or they were told, like you said, to do this. I can't imagine anybody in their right mind doing something that terrible. So
Right.
it's almost believable. Like, I would never kill anybody, but if I was possessed, who the hell knows what I would do? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, some of these people, and I've even, dude, I have met people that I believe without a doubt are controlled by demons. There's a few of them I know that are existing right now, and I don't know how, but there is nothing in their eyes of good anymore. It is gone. They are filled with hate and evil. I see it online all the time, and I personally know them. I am not associated with them in no way, shape, or form. That is why I have disassociated myself with these people, because um I have seen this, I've witnessed this, and yeah, I can't have any part of anybody that has those kind of intentions, those thoughts, that energy about them. Even if I'm like somewhat unsure, I will distance myself from you, just because it ain't gonna rub off on me or people I love. I'm not giving it the opportunity. You know,
it
I
can
wish you the best. I'll pray for you.
yeah, it can definitely jump. I've met people where you look at their eyes and you see nothing. It's just like blank. Just like
Mhm.
a vibe. If you I used to sit for this one girl, and I walked into her house and it felt so empty. There was furniture, there was everything you could possibly want in a house, but it felt so empty, and like there was no spiritual belief in anything. And she was definitely a scientific lady. Like, and you could feel that in her home. So it's weird how that energy transfers from people or places or locations. It's interesting.
It does. The spiritual energy is so powerful. I mean, one thing that I'm sure we can all agree on, if you've watched anything that has to do with any paranormal investigators, have you ever heard of a paranormal investigator going to a place that is truly haunted and not saying it feels heavy in here? They all say the same thing. Why does it feel heavy? Because that's what it fucking feels like. Like, I've been into places before that have like really dark history, and I go in there and I'm just like, dude, it feels like there's something on my shoulders. What I mean by that is the energy is so heavy, it almost feels like you're holding it with your shoulders. Like, as you're walking through, like, it's just kind of like bouncing on you, and you feel it.
Mhm.
It, it's not the same thing, but it's like when you pray to God, do you feel like somebody's listening when you pray?
Yeah,
I do.
I do.
I do too. I always have my entire life, and and in a very early age, that was enough for me. That was enough for me. I was sold. Like I believed, but like, and to this day, I feel like I pray, and I feel like he's listening. And I would say that like with that situation, like when I'm going into these haunted places, when I have gone into them, it is crazy that you feel what you can't see.
Mhm. It's hard to explain if you've never experienced it. It's a hard feeling to explain the difference between nothing and something.
Mhm.
It's
It
interesting.
it's almost like a big invisible current of electricity, but it doesn't it's not that kind of electricity like when you're walking through the store and you touch somebody and you feel the little zap. It's you can feel it. It's just almost like it's heavy, heavy air pockets,
Mhm. My
and it's
first
scary.
apartment with that had that feeling. I could not take a shower with my eyes closed because I felt like I was being watched always. My second apartment, I had no problems. I wasn't afraid, like, I felt nothing there. It wasn't well, I felt good energy, not anything creepy or weird.
Mhm.
I mean, that was the first time I'd ever experienced that not wanting to close my eyes because I was afraid to open them and see somebody staring at me.
Have you ever, whether dark or not dark, have you ever heard voices like continuously speak to you?
In my head, yes. I've only heard a disembodied voice maybe a couple of times in my life. And that is shocking in its own right to hear a disembodied voice.
Right.
In my head, there's always something talking to me, and there's a battle in my head between good and bad because I am always thinking worst case scenario in my head. Like, I'll look at somebody and talk to them, and something in my head will tell me that's the last time you're going to see them. They're going to die over and over in my head. And it's like mostly like the closest people to me, my loved ones, the people that I would be terrified if something happened to them. But it's like every night, like, this is legit serious. I'll just be laying in bed and I'll be, like, talking to my mom, and I'll get that, like, feeling or that voice in my head saying, "You better say the right things because you might never
Wow.
not ever talk to your mom again." And I'll actually try to pull that energy out of my head and, like, grab it and throw it away, and it won't go away. It just keeps coming back and back and back. And I cannot overcome that voice that's there. I don't know what the hell it is.
You know that right there is a gift and a curse. It's a curse because you don't know what to make of it. The gift in it is it's like having that great A1 intuition, uh, gut feeling, instinct, common sense, voice from inside type thing that whether or not the messages you're getting from it are 100%, it kind of just makes you more cautious of everything you do.
Mhm.
You know, I have that too. When you were saying that, I was like, I have the same exact thing. Like, I'll take a shower and literally have a conversation with myself. You know, there's certain things I do, and it just really, really speaks to me. And if anything, it's like having that really intense dream before you wake up, and then when you wake up, whether or not you believe that you're going to uh get kidnapped by an entourage of Eskimos, weird dream. Whether or not that's going to happen, you're going to keep your eyes open for Eskimos that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really do. I feel like if anything, they're just like, hey, be a little extra cautious today.
I always have the nightmares about planes falling out of the sky. They're going up and then they stop and fall back down, and I can feel it. I can literally feel my heart drop in my dreams. That and tornadoes. I dream about tornadoes all the time. And
See, you dream about tornadoes though, because you love tornado. You watch the tornado stuff. You love the tornadoes.
I know, but the plane crash dreams is probably part of the reason I'm terrified to fly. My
Yeah.
flight out here, I don't know if I told you or not, but when we started descending into Houston, the whole inside of the plane, it looked like the clouds were coming inside the plane. It was like, is this smoke? Like, what's going on in the fucking airplane? And I have video of this that I took.
Oh
And
my
the
god.
pilot's like, everybody, I seem to be freaking out, and this is just condensation from our amazing air conditioner that we have. And I'm like, seriously, nobody I've ever talked to has ever seen like steam inside of a plane coming in through all the vents and the
Yeah.
windows, and it freaked me out. Especially because the plane had to be, ground started and the air conditioning wasn't coming on. They had to, like, jumpstart it's that jump starting the plane essentially, and then
Holy sugar.
freaked me out.
That freaks me out for you. I mean, that freaks me out, like, I'm already on the fence if I ever wanna fly again, like, like, there's been some crazy stuff going on. I was nervous for you flying on this one, and I didn't wanna say it either, but, like, even the day you took off, there was, like, some situation that was reported on the news that was, like, about some plane issue,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my god, dude," like.
I keep seeing it every day, and I think it's coming up in the media because the issue with the Boeing, the guy that the whistleblower who committed suicide, and then another guy committed suicide that worked for Boeing.
Mhm.
I don't know, that's crazy.
It'd be interesting, and I hate that, and my condolences to those families, and that is such, um, a dark, sad way to go.
I just
I
don't believe
wish to God people knew that everything is gonna be okay tomorrow, the sun's gonna shine again, and they could just, be patient with life. I'm a firm believer that we go through everything we're supposed to go through in order to build the armor for what's to come.
mm,
And I wish to God people could just get a hint of that in their brains, like they could see that there's a truth that they haven't found yet, and just be patient. I know, I do, I know because I remember being there when I was a teenager. But my condolences to those families. But what I was gonna say is I feel like I wonder if those guys heard voices,
I
you know?
don't yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe they felt I don't know, I don't like to speak about something that I don't really know about, but to me, it's just sketchy that they were in a lawsuit with Boeing about safety issues and then they're gone.
Mhm.
Maybe they were feeling guilty if something did happen to somebody and something was overlooked, but I don't know.
Yeah. I hope that it stops happening. It is happening a lot, but I guess I wonder, and maybe I should look into it for my own personal knowing. Like, I was gonna write a book about this shit years ago, and I think I told you I've got like 36,000 words written somewhere about a paranormal book. I have yet to finish. I need to dig it out, but for my own personal research, and maybe anybody researching this, research it. Like, if what we're talking about doesn't make sense, look into these cases and see, are most of these people hearing voices? It would be interesting to know that, to put a percentage to it. Like, are 90% of the people that are committing suicide hearing voices telling them to do it?
That's scary. My adopted brother hung himself, and the only reason he survived was because the rope broke, and I don't remember him telling me he heard voices. He was just done.
I
I
hate to hear that. Hmm.
I should ask him if he heard voices, but I know it's a question I didn't ask him, but I'm going
How
to.
is he doing nowadays? Is he doing okay?
Yeah, he's good. I just actually was hanging out with him yesterday. We made burgers on the grill, and he's doing really well. He's got a good job now, driving for HEB, and he's happy.
And the
And
proof is in the pudding right there. Yeah, guys, see, like, and I want people to know, because I guarantee you there's somebody that's going to watch us that is depressed, that's dealing with depression. Everything is going to be okay. Keep your head up, stay strong, stay focused. Every time something bad happens to you, just say something good is coming. Even no matter how bad it is, just say, okay, once I get over this mountain of badness, there is something good there, and try and find the good along the way too. It's there, dude. And trust me, even us super duper happy people, we deal with stuff. We probably just deal with it. I've become calloused, so I can have something. I have had catastrophic things happen to me even over the last few years, and like, dude, when I was in that accident, like the car accident, and it cracked my spine, I thought I was paralyzed. I didn't even know I could move until I got to the hospital. I couldn't move until I got to the hospital. They doped me up so much that finally, like, I wasn't in pain, and I tried to move, and I moved. Even the doctor walked in and said, "Good news is you're not paralyzed." And I was like, "I'm not?" Like, I didn't even know that. I hadn't tried to move. And I was just sitting there. I remember Alicia was on the phone, and because I was bay flighted there, and so I got her on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I don't think I'm gonna be able to walk no more, but look, everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna do this." And she's like, "Dude, you're laying in a hospital bed. Calm down." And I was already trying to figure out a way to make the best of it. 6 months down the line from that, a situation happened where I was working the haunted house, my haunted house attraction, and I used some of this black makeup around my eyes for this character I was playing this one night, and that makeup caused me to go blind for 3 days. Yeah, and it was the scariest thing in the world, and I thought I was blind for good. I didn't know it was going to be 3 days. It was
Wow.
3 days before I could get in to see the eye doctor. Like, and I I went in and I seen her, and she's like, "You're gonna be okay." I just still didn't feel like it. She did this eye bandage and everything else, and I ended up being able to see about 3 or 4 days later, over a week, my vision got better and better. But while I thought I was blind, I was legit like thinking, how can I support my family while I'm blind? And I was already working on a way, making a best of it. I was closing my eyes completely, not even trying to see, and like already trying to figure out how to navigate and not ask people for things. Like, you have to kind of be like that. Don't,
Mhm.
it's tough.
It.
It's tough, but just find the good in every bad situation, because trust me, there is something out there watching, waiting for you to break. Don't give it the chance.
I believe you 110%. I heard a quote, one of the it was on a TV show. A girl was dying of cancer, and she said, she's like, "You can't keep waiting to be happy. Like, what are you waiting for? Why not be happy today? Why are you waiting for that next moment? Like, you have an event coming up. Oh, I'm so excited for that event. So why are you not happy right now or today in the moment? Like, it's a good way to look at life if you're waking up and you're moody for no reason. Like, I'm a moody person. I wake up cranky a lot, and I don't even know why, I don't have a reason to be, you
I
know?
know why, Krista, because you don't get much sleep.
Oh, that's so true. I didn't fall asleep till 10 a.m. today, and I woke up at 12:30 to work.
You're a beast of a writer and human, but I guarantee you, Krista does not sleep much. If you haven't got that yet from any of our conversations, you'll hear it time to time. She struggles with sleeping. I guarantee you, anything in this world, if you got under a regular sleep schedule and started getting 8 hours of sleep at the time you're supposed to sleep, I bet you'd be a super freaking human, more than you already are.
I wish that would work. I don't want the doctors put she said she's gonna put me on sleeping pills, but that's not a good thing for me. I don't want to be on medication like that I could get addicted to. So I
Yeah,
don't know what to do. It is
I
just
get it. Taking pills sucks, bro. It sucks. I struggled with that too, but
yeah.
yeah. I will say this. There's a lot of good information that uh came from this stream. As far as the stories go, whether they're true or not, I do believe things like this can happen, have happened, and maybe everything doesn't happen like a horror film that we watch. But then again, we don't know that. We don't know that. I've
It's
heard stories from people throughout my life that sound like a horror film.
I've had random weird experiences too that if I told people, they'd call bullshit on my experience. So, just because it hasn't happened to us doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Absolutely. But at least, if there's one piece of information I want you to get something inspirational from this is if something does happen, give it the benefit of the doubt that it might not be as bad as you think it looks. It might be as bad as something makes you want to think it looks. Bam. There it is.
Very well said.
Well, I believe that 100%, guys. So, Jody, Krista here. Krista, anything you want to say?
It's been a while since I've been on a pod with you, and I miss everybody.
Oh, we miss Krista too. I just said it on a live stream tonight. I gave you hella props on this live stream that I did.
Oh,
Yeah, of course. But
thank you.
no, we love doing pods with Krista here. One thing about her is she's a full-time writer. I'm a full-time movie producer, YouTuber. We're both doing the pod together, so we do our best to do as many of these together as we can, and we're taking every opportunity we can to like get ahead too and do more than one night, more than one in one night. So but anyways, guys, smash that thumbs up, comment below, share this on social media. We love you guys so much. Post every week here on the Scream Scene, but until next time, sweet nightmares.